What's going on, guys? What's cracking in the garage? Yeah, this is awesome. More parts. Let's just take a look. Guys. Oh, this is to me, this is like a big deal. Koyo Rad to me is like big boy stuff, right? This is like holy grail kind of stuff to me. So I cannot thank Koyo Rad enough for this. So obviously in the big box, we have a radiator, but you're probably thinking, Ryan, what's in the small box then? You know, you got this big box, which has the traditional dark blue Koyo Rad logo, but then we've got this light blue logo with Koyo Rad on it at the bottom. So what is it? So I'm gonna set my camera here and let's open this up. I can't wait to show you guys. This is my first time using Koyo Rad. I'm pumped, I'm excited right now. Have I mentioned how much I love new parts? Like, I freaking love this. This stuff's beautiful. It's from Koyo Rad. Duh, it's beautiful. So here it is, guys. Their beautiful radiator and new intercooler core. So if you guys can see, this does not have end tanks on it. We are going to have to make our own custom end tanks. Now, the actual dimensions of this, I'll have to get it for you here and post up. But this is a 4-inch thick radiator, or sorry, intercooler. I forget the lengthwise. It's meant for a super. So they actually sent me a list like, hey, we figured out dimensions that work. And once they sent me the dimensions, they kind of matched up to what I've already seen before. So I currently run a Powerhouse Racing intercooler in my car. I'm not sure what core they use to build their intercoolers, but it has worked great. So this is my first time using Koyo Rad. This is not, from what I've seen, this is not open to the public yet. It's not on their website yet either. So if you guys go looking, you'll know why. But this is coming very shortly. They're putting these out there and I'm pretty impressed. Overall quality is really nice. Now, first thing people are gonna ask, well, Ryan, I don't like the Koyo Rad logo. If you flip this over, there is no logo. So I know some people like this. I personally kind of like the logo. So I'm probably gonna run that in the front. But I know other people like, I don't like having the logo there. Well, all you have to do is flip it over when you weld this and there will be no logo. So no big deal. Now with the Koyo Rad radiator, you don't get that choice. But again, it's blocked by this, so it doesn't really matter. I think the radiator having the logo is really freaking cool. Overall quality is really, really nice. They do come inspected. Their intercooler cores are actually made in China. They actually stamp it on there. They don't hide that. I'm not sure about the radiator itself. So guys, for the Koyo Rad itself, I'm not sure what's made. The actual intercooler core is made in China, like I said. All the welding looks pretty decent on this. Nothing that I can see that I would say is bad or any shape, way, or form. I love the Koyo Rad logo right stamped on the top. It does come with all the hardware too, to actually hold on the cover. I should say the actual for the cooling fins. It's pretty nice. It comes with radiator cap too, which is sitting over there. And this is actually brazed in then too. I wasn't sure if I was going to use this or use an AN fitting off of here, but now that I see that this is brazed on, some of the cheaper ones, they're actually just screwed in. So I think I'm just gonna keep the factory one as I don't wanna cause any issues. Now, one thing I do wanna do with this is these fittings here are just for regular hose fittings. I would like to weld on to this a -20 AN fitting, which you guys saw in my last video. So what I'm going to do is have TJ, who is here walking around the cars, weld on some -20 fittings and then run -20 hose that I have from Red Horse. So if I come over here, I already made one fit, or I should say, put on one fitting, but I'm gonna have to do 3 more yet. This stuff is no joke. You can see on my hand, it's massive. But this is 1.25 inches in size, which is the same ID as like regular coolant hoses. And then we have to use these right here. We have to use these weld-on bungs. Now, one thing that I will say I don't like about these weld-on bungs is that they have a rectangular shape to them. They almost need to be machined down so it's round, because I don't want this round fitting going onto the tube like this, or this rectangular fitting going onto a round tube. It just looks kind of funny. So I'm not sure what to do there, grind it down or have it machined. All right, guys, so I had to jump around here a little bit, so I apologize. I need to trim up this beard, by the way, too. This is getting a little ridiculous. I got to get this trimmed, but I got the fittings welded on already. I ended up having to use another company's fittings. I don't even know the name of the company. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. but they're American-made fittings too. I end up using them just because they're already turned down. I could get a quick turnaround. I'm already gonna have those Red Horse fittings turned down also, just so I could get them. And I already spoke with Red Horse. This is one thing I really like about them, as I give them suggestions. They're like, yep, let's make that happen. Like, I spoke to them about the fittings, like, hey, you know, these fittings are hexagon shape, and I talked to other people, they really want them to be round, have some type of a lip on it, makes it a little bit easier to weld. And they go, we're already on it. If you need those too, let us know. Like, Kevin and those guys over at Red Horse are very understanding. They love getting suggestions. I also said, like, hey, you guys need to start selling a dash 20 wrench if you're gonna sell dash 20 fittings. He said, yep. He said, I've asked before. He's like, I'll make sure we get on there. He's like, I wanna make sure that our customers can have everything. So I think that's pretty cool in itself. Now, I did have these fittings welded on to my Koyo Rad, so let me show you that. I guess first off, let me show you this. We've got the Anzo energy drink here. If you've never had one of these are delicious. I wanted to show you the difference here. So we've got the dash 20 fitting welded on here. Now, one thing I wanted to show you guys, these, because this is cast aluminum, you can see the dirt. That's literally dirt that comes out of the cast that gets into the weld. We welded this twice just to make sure this wouldn't leak. So he went around it once and around a second time. So it should make sure it shouldn't leak. Should make sure it shouldn't leak. But you can see the dirt there on the fitting itself. And that is just from the dirty cast. And it's just, yeah, not the greatest. Now, one thing I want to show you guys too, this is a twin turbo lower water neck, okay? So this is what I always use. Now, a lot of guys end up using the non-turbo one, and the reason why I don't like it is when you try to do AN fittings or even getting a hose to it, it's shorter. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I'd rather have a physical piece of metal longer than try to get a hose up to it or a fitting. I prefer this over that, more length, right? Okay, guys, just not down in the comments. Go ahead and make fun of this. I already know it's coming. So this is why. This is off of Colton's engine, which you can see over here. This will be another video coming up too. We've got the engine painted. We've got the brakes out. He's already making the stainless steel brake lines because we're doing an ABS delete. Again, that's another video. But all this parts here, so I wanted to use this as a comparison. And you can see, again, if we come down here, sorry, it's moving back and forth just very little. But yeah, you can see the dirt in the welds versus coming over to the Koyo Rad. So we've got the Koyo Rad here. Now I've got dash 20 on the bottom and on the top. Now here on the bottom, first off, you can see right off the bat, if you could take a look here, guys, you can see, there we go, get it to focus. This comes out and goes this way. We had to cut it, shave it down here so we could have the fitting come straight out, and that's just dirt in there, sorry, just fuzz in there. It's not messed up on the fitting or anything. And to make sure it would come out straight this way, I can put a fitting onto this a little bit easier because I didn't want the fitting going that way. It'd be really pain in the butt. So we shaved this down and fixed it so it would go straight out. Austin Conrad was kind enough to do this for me. TJ Minnick usually does this stuff, but Austin was just happened to be free at that moment in time, and he was kind enough to do it. So can't thank him enough. And then he also put a dash 20 fitting here on the top. And again, look how much cleaner this is. Again, good 6061 aluminum, and again 6061 here too. So I mean, it's just a lot better than the cast pieces, and just turns out a lot nicer. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the car, and I'm gonna finish making dash 20 fittings for the Radiator. All right, guys, so I've got everything back in. I got the Radiator back in, and I've got the lower water neck back in. Now, one thing, I even knew this from the start. I knew it was going to hit here. I didn't care about that because the fitting can push it over some. You can see I've got wiggle room there. I'd rather rub against this than anything else, and I've got this heat sleeve, plus it's a PTFE line, so it's got the outer coating, plus the metal inner bore, and then the inner metal webbed area, metal web part. I don't know, I can't speak right now. And then I have the actual PTFE bore. So I mean, it's got protection on protection, so it should be good. Now here's the part I'm not looking forward to. Putting the first one wasn't too bad, but now with dash 20 line, because it's such a thick hose, such a big round hose, you have to get it perfect. If not, it'll kink it. You know, you'll get a kink in line. You can't have that. Well, to line it up is not easy, and I don't have much to work with. You can see there only that much exposed hose here. So yeah, I marked it here with silver Sharpie, if you can see it here. I marked it here with silver Sharpie. That's where it technically will bottom out the hose inside. Not the very end of it here, because there are threads inside. So that's where it will bottom out. So I need to figure out where the exact spot is I should mark it here, because obviously it's down right now. When you pull it back up, you can see I lose a little bit of length too. So I got to be careful how I do this. So that's where I want this one to be here, but then I need to be able to come over with it. So it's just very, very tricky to try and set this up and get it perfect. Once I come back over then, and you put that down, it's like, should be something around there, but I have it close right now, but I feel like it should come just back behind that, and I think that should work. Again, I think, but the only way to know is to cut and go from there. Thankfully, I have extra hose, and yes, you can disassemble these. It's not like a crimp style, so hopefully this does work out in my favor. Well guys, I actually thought it was going to be a little short, but I'm a little long, so that's a good thing because that means I can reuse the hose. I don't have to take both apart. But if you can see here, I'm a little long. Now you have to remember too, when you tighten this up, it'll pull it this way more too, so you don't want to take too much off. Like, you got to be able to finagle it some. So if I can press it on here, but you can still see, I still got a little too much. You can see it's kinking it up like that. So it looks like I have to take it off again and just take off a little bit. Oh my God, it's got some serious tension on here because I just don't want to mess up the fitting. But yeah, you can see, like, I can kind of get it on, but yeah, I don't want the wonderful rainbow. Yeah, that looks like shit. So I'm gonna try cinching it up, see how much more I gotta take off, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, so I got it the second time around, and the bottom water neck is done, and water line's done also. So let me go ahead and show you guys how it looks, and let me give you guys a little explanation here. So here's the top line, and you can see it doesn't come, so if you can see here, it's not completely across. Now, here's the one thing, because the way this water neck comes out, I could have angled this more, but I personally kind of like the cock look. I don't know why. Same reason I had some people say, like, Ryan, why are you using this Powerhouse Racing one? Why aren't you using the one? There's a company called Radiator, and he has one that comes out. And I'm going to explain why. And this is my personal preference. I'm really weird about this stuff, and this is where I overthink things. So if you can see here, the Powerhouse Racing piece is a one-piece item. That means that's machined from a 100% solid piece of aluminum. One that takes more time, it costs more to do so, and the biggest thing for me is there's only one physical seal, which is here in the back. Now I guess you could count the bottom one here, but that's just like factory too. So this is one piece, right? The next connection point is where just any other hose would go. But the Rad-Dan one, they have one that comes off, and then has like a swivel joint that also has like an O-ringed area inside of it too. I didn't like that. You're adding another failure point, and in my eyes, I know it seems dumb, but you're always adding one more thing that could possibly cause you an issue. And I just kind of want to remove that out of the factor. I also like how close and tucked this is. I love that it's one piece. I used to work for a company called Sandvik, so machining, I love it. I love anything to do with machining, so I know the time it takes for something like this. When you have a one-piece item, you got a lot more material to remove, so I know how much more time this takes. I would actually love to visit Powerhouse Racing, kind of pick their guys' brains. I wonder who, I don't even know, I should probably talk to Brian or Sam. I wonder who does all of their machining, and who, I'm not sure if they use SolidWorks or what they use down there for design work. But I just thought that was pretty trick. So here's probably the biggest thing though, right? So I have the top one, I'll show you the bottom one here too, which came out perfect. I got that one right the first time. This took me 2 tries. The first try you guys saw, didn't get it. This second try, I got it right. Now here's the one thing I will tell you. So everyone's been bugging me saying, Ryan, look how small the hose area is. Is that gonna be a problem? Is that gonna cause flex issues? And here's what I wanna show you. So we have this, right? And I have probably 6 or 7 inches of room, maybe 8 inches there, okay? Of total like hose area exposed. Now let's go over to my car, which also uses a Powerhouse Racing hard water neck up above. Now, in theory, that line that I just put on should have more flex than this one, because inside of here, there's maybe a 1/2 inch gap from the inside of this pipe, this metal pipe, to touching the actual radiator here. And same thing goes with the upper water neck to the pipe again. So there's only 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. So it gives me about 1 inch versus 7 to 8 inches on that of flex room. So in theory, that should have more flex than this would ever have. So that is my understanding, or at least that's my theory behind it. Obviously, I'll be able to test it for you guys. I just know that's going to be something people bring up, so I just want to go ahead and address that now. Another thing I wanted to show you guys too is the bottom one is on. So the bottom one, I did put just a regular straight fitting on that there, and then a 90-degree fitting there. It literally worked out perfect with these Red Horse fittings. They had enough swing and arc that I welded, or I had Austin, my buddy Austin over there in Hagerstown, he welded on a -20 fitting right at the bottom of a twin turbo lower water neck. Okay, so that water neck is a twin turbo, not a non-turbo one, which is much longer. And we welded directly to it. Didn't add anything, didn't cut anything off, welded directly to it. I didn't even make any measurements, I probably should have. And put that 90-degree fitting on, and it fits perfect. I wish I could get down there a little bit better, but it fits perfect, doesn't touch. I can get my fingers underneath it, hold on here. Get my fingers underneath of it here. So I mean, it's not, there's nowhere close it's gonna rub or touch or anything. So it worked out. Now I will say it did add some tension because this hose only bends so much. Trying to get it on and trying to put on these fittings was not an easy task. I will be honest, top one was pretty easy. The bottom one was a little bit more of a pain just because it's got to come straight on, and if you don't get it on right, it's just, yeah. Now I got to take it all off because it looks beautiful. I love the shine, but we got a blacked out engine bay. I love you, Koyo Rad, and I love the shine that you have. But I'm sorry, baby, you gotta get powder coated black. So I'll take this up to Brad Decker and have him powder coat this black, just because, you know, that's what I gotta do, baby. So guys, I hope this video was helpful. If you saw some of my previous ones where I showed you guys how to put together the Dash 20 lines, it's not that bad. Just take your time. Do not rush. Use oil. Make sure that you're in somewhat of a warm area. If you need to, I've heard guys warm up the hose. I personally did not have to do that. Didn't cause me any problems in that aspect. Getting the length right is the hardest part because it has to be 100% spot on or it will not work. You need to account for when you put the fittings on too, it's gonna draw the hose away some too. So just remember that, like if you see like, oh, it's perfect, then when you start to put it on, it's like, why is it getting tighter? You'll have some issues. I didn't personally have that, but that was one thing I was thinking in my head, like, you know, when you draw this on or you start screwing it on, it's gonna cause you some issues if you don't get the length right. So I got lucky that the bottom one worked out perfect the very first time, and the top one did take me 2 tries. Again, guys, thank you very much for tuning in today. Do me a big favor, check out Red Horse Performance and Powerhouse Racing. Again, without sponsors like them, these videos can't happen. Thank you guys very much, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.